Hello and welcome to computer class. My name is Dave and today we're talking about camera gear used in videography. So what type of camera gear can you use when you're shooting your video for a film? Well, the first category is fixed camera gear, and this includes, first of all, a tripod. A tripod is a three-legged stand for supporting a camera or other apparatus. I say other apparatus because sometimes people put things or mount things on top of tripods. An example of this would be a slide, and it's a longer type of item that allows the camera to slide back and forth, and you would stick that on top of potentially your tripod. So that's why you can put other things on it. Um, and with it, we can easily achieve two of the most essential camera movements, and that is pans and tilts. So whether that be right and left or up and down, um, if you notice on the tripod here, it has those functionality. You just turn the handles and it allows you to tilt it up or down, or if you twist one of the knobs, it loosens it up a little bit and you can go side to side. It's used to eliminate camera shake, so it's better than handheld if you want a static shot, maybe for an interview or something. That's what this is used for typically. Used for fixed scenes where the cameraman does not have to move very much. I cannot emphasize that enough because it's not extremely portable. You can't just run with a tripod. In fact, you probably trip over the tripod. The next thing is a monopod. It's a one-legged support for a camera, a lot more mobile. You'll see even quite a few photographers will utilize the monopod. And the reason for that is it allows them, if you're holding a camera for very long, it starts to get kind of heavy, especially if the camera's got any type of size to it. And so a monopod is a quick way to maneuver to a location without having to put out three legs, just one leg, and then you set it down and you take your video, so to speak, or you take your pictures. So it's much more portable and it's easier to adjust the legs because you only have to do one as opposed to three. The next type of fixed camera gear is a rig, and it's an outside extension that is added on to the camera aftermarket. And so here's an example right here of a rig that's added onto the camera. Here we have handles, we have uh, the map box in the front. We have a viewing screen that's added on, handles there, and then we have a shoulder mount. And again, all of that we were talking earlier about what you can add onto a tripod. This person has just set this on top of a tripod because they were running and gunning, so to speak, and getting the shots, and then and doing handheld, which is what the rig is used for. It's a little bit more for stabilization, and then they set it on top of a tripod to get a more stable shot. So that's kind of cool. Rigs can be kind of coupled together with other camera gear. So a rig includes an apparatus attached to a camera that allows the videographer to add on extensions to the camera. And the first thing you would put around the camera is a cage, and then you add on handles, mics, LCD screens, etc. Even knobs that adjust uh, uh, the different zooms or the aperture or something like that. And then handheld is the last way to really shoot things, is a freestyle way of shooting without a rig or an apparatus, and it adds sort of a realism to when you take a shot because everything's a little bit more shaky. And again, I'm not talking about camera shots, but I'm saying that is a way to do this, okay, to get this type of shot. Now, some advantages and disadvantages to handheld shooting. It's great for filming action that's taking place in the moment. When you have that shaking effect, someone's like, wow, explosions going off next to the character. That camera shake adds the action and sort of a little bit more excitement to the scene. It's great for subjectivity, filming a person walking and mimicking the movement of a person to make the viewer feel more like they're walking or running beside the person is a great atmosphere to add to your shot. However, that being said, number three, it can add a shaky aspect to the scene that causes nausea or amateurism. If it's too shaky, then it looks, like a terrible video, and people get sick when watching. Like, oh wow, that's just causing me to vomit while I'm watching that. An example of this would be if you've ever watched somebody try to take um, a very simple video while riding a roller coaster. Usually they're trying to hold on to their camera and it's shaking all over the place, and it's so hard to watch that it just like breaks your mind to watch it. So there are times when handheld is not the best option, and that's why we have these other pieces of gear like the tripod, the monopod, and the rig. to be able to couple with it. So another piece of fixed camera gear is dollies and tracks. They are specialized pieces of filmmaking television production equipment designed to create smooth camera movements. Usually a dolly and a track will have these long extensions on them, and you will just simply wheel them down a track. Some of them are very small, some of them are very large. The camera is mounted on a dolly, and the camera operator and the camera assistant usually ride on the dolly to operate the camera, and they're often very heavy and expensive, and you only get certain types of shots with them. One specific shot that you can get is dolly in, dolly out. It's where you push in or you push out of the shot, or you can track alongside a character very well, and catch them walking laterally. So that's kind of the things that are used for dollies and tracks. This is an extreme example of a dolly and a track, and right next to it they have a little bit of a smaller one. Okay. The next is the Steadicam and the glide cam, as it's known. There's actually a job in cinematography that's just for this specific type of videography. And basically, this is a lightweight mounting for a video camera that keeps it steady when filming. It's usually like kind of like a vest, or it kind of straps onto you, just as you see in this picture here. The Steadicam is the one on the actual guide there. The glide cam is just a handheld version of this, and it stabilizes using the weights at the bottom. As the person's running with the camera, it doesn't get as much bumpiness or shake. It actually just levels everything out. Okay, so that would be a glide cam. This is the Steadicam. It has sort of that the suit takes the jarring out of the shot. How could we easily move a camera up or down the stairs? The answer is by using a Steadicam or similar stabilizer, something like the glide cam or the Komodo Orbit, something you hold like this. Another example of a way to do this that has become extremely popular is by using a 3-axis gimbal, and those are used, I don't have a picture of it up here, but those are used by having motors, and the camera actually kind of floats as a result of that, and the motors control the amount of shake or movement associated with it. And it really creates very streamlined, steady footage as the person's running with the camera. Okay. And then we have the jib or the crane, which is actually what you saw earlier attached to the dolly and tracks. That's a separate piece that you can attach. And sometimes these are attached to tripods, as you can see here. It's a boom device with a camera at one end and a counterweight, and sometimes controls at the other. And so this one doesn't have actual controls, but if they get big enough, like we saw in this one, you see you have controls right there at the end to really maneuver and turn the camera every direction that it needs to go. And sometimes they can even have features to cameras where they have software that actually tracks and creates amazing shots. You often see this move used in an up and down fashion as an establishing shot, to where they kind of swing in or they swing out or they get something from overhead. It lowers the viewer into the world of your story. By attaching the camera to a crane or jib, we're able to swiftly move the camera above and around the subject. And that's more of the importance of why you would use these type of things. Now, I would say jib and crane are used interchangeably, no matter how large the crane is or jib is. But in my opinion, I would tend to lean more towards a jib being smaller and a crane being bigger. But that's not always true. Sometimes videographers use them interchangeably. That being said, a car mount is the next piece of fixed camera gear, rigging that helps you attach a camera to a car or moving vehicle. How do you get those shots through the window of a car, or maybe through the windshield of a car, or maybe even inside the car, out the car? That is all done by camera mounts. How do you get shots on something like a motorbike down by the wheel, where you see somebody driving really fast in a motorcycle? You would have to have a mount on the side of that motorcycle. Okay. Drones, cars, bikes, wheelchairs, and many other items can be used to shoot video. We put mounts on them in order to get those technical shots, even to the point where I have seen a vehicle that is just dedicated to car mounting, and it will have a crane mounted on top of the vehicle with special equipment to be able to capture footage of people driving, and doing incredible stunts in videography. So that is another type of a car mount, but that's an extreme example of a really big one that you might have. Okay, now I'm going to link this video down in the description. This video is every type of camera rig explained, and I think it does a great job of going through all the different. It's by the company Studio Binder, which is a great product. And go ahead and check that out. I'll link it down in the description so that you can see their video, if you will. Okay, I don't know why I just canceled my slideshow, but whatever. All right, hopefully you have liked the video and subscribed to the channel, and you learned something today about camera rigs. Go watch that video after you finish watching this on the extended guide to camera rigs. And as always, I will see you in the next video.